We're up and running. Mary and Dawn, thank you very much for allowing me to present this to you and your centers. And what I'm going to be doing today is sharing with you a little bit of information about Collette, myself, and the measures that we're taking to assure the safety of you, the travelers, and then more specifically, the Treasures of Europe trip. And at the end, I'll explain how people can sign up if they're interested in doing so. And this trip is leaving May 20th, returning June 1st of next year, 2021, and with air included $51.99. So a little bit about myself. I live in South Lyon. I've got half of my family Michigan University people and the other half Michigan State people. So we have a lot of fun with that. And we love to travel. I've been with the company for 30 years now and cover Southeast Michigan as well as Western Ohio. So a lot of ground there. And we are one of those companies you'll see on the Wheel of Fortune. And we've been with that partnership for over 20 years now. And 2 years ago, we celebrated our 100th anniversary as a company. And this year we had about 149 packages touching upon all 7 continents. First of all, I want to share with you the fact that your safety as a traveler is our #1 priority, and we are taking measures to assure that safety. And one of those is having folks now fill out a mandatory health questionnaire right prior to departure so that we can assure that everyone is arriving in a healthy, safe manner. We're also running our tours with smaller size groups on the bus so that there's spatial seating and social distancing on the bus. And our industry-leading travel protection or cancellation waiver allows you to cancel for any reason right up to the day prior to departure. So if you're not feeling comfortable about traveling, you don't need a doctor's notice. You just simply say, I'm sorry, I can't go, and you get everything back, less the cost of that insurance. Now this year, where we canceled many of the tours, when we canceled them, we even gave the insurance back. So that's not something that everyone does out there in the industry. So our philosophy here at Collette is that we feel that the COVID is going to be around for a while, and we feel we need to travel and exist with COVID. We are seeing a lot of people still wanting to travel. So we are doing that in a manner with a lot of protocols and measures taken and put into play so that we can assure your safety. And we had about 9 tours run in July and August here in the United States. And people came back feeling safe, saying that they would travel again this next year and that they would do it with Collette. So we felt that was very successful. Why travel with a guided tour? Especially when you're going outside the country, there's a big difference between going on your own and traveling on a guided tour. One of those big advantages is taking that element of stress out of your experience, and it's really all about making travel easy for you. We've got all your breakfast included, at least half of your dinners, really bringing that culinary experience of the region to you. And we have a lot of great inclusions, so you're not standing in line to get into venues. They're expecting you, and you're not navigating, trying to figure out maps and driving on a different side of the road than what you're used to. Just taking that element of stress out of it and making everything simple for you. Having a tour manager there, they can help you pursue your own personal interest on those allotments of time that we've allowed for you to pursue your own personal interest. So this is going to be your airplane we've got lined up for you when we get out there. So first class would be up on the top, and everything else is coach. So we've got a good flight lined up for you. Also, the company very big on social responsibility, not leaving carbon footprints, being mindful of the people that live in these destinations and respectful for how our travel affects them, and also being mindful of the planet with everything that we do. All right, on to the good stuff. Treasures of Europe. This is a 12-day trip, 15 meals, so that's all of your breakfast, at least half of your dinners, and you've got a lot of great sightseeing included. I like also you've got a lot of 2-night stays here. So your first 2 nights in London, then those dotted lines represent the trains that you're going to be taking. So you're going to take the Eurostar, also known as the Channel, which goes beneath the English Channel, comes up and hits the French countryside, eventually arriving into Paris. It's about a 2.25-hour train trip. 2 nights in Paris, do some great sightseeing there. Then taking the high-speed TGV train, about 186 miles an hour, into Andermatt, and we're going to explore Lucerne, this other great favorite spot that everyone enjoys. 1 night in Venice, 2 in Florence, and your final 2 in Rome. So you've got England, France, Switzerland, and Italy, 4 countries all in one great experience. Starting off in London, very user-friendly. It's a short flight over. They speak great English. And here you've got the Thames River and the Parliament building with Big Ben there right at the bridge. We're going to start off with the welcome dinner, get you into the culinary pursuits of London. And the next day, start our panoramic tour of the city. So you've got the Tower Bridge, and which on your free time, you might want to go back, take the elevator up to the top, and it's like a mini museum up there. And there's a glass floor that you can look down at the cars beneath coming on the bridge. The Tower of London, which is a fortress, formerly a prison. 2 of the 3 wives of Henry VIII were beheaded here at this particular establishment. I never understood why the 2nd and 3rd wives would have married him, knowing that could be their fate. But I guess the honor of being married to the king was hard to resist. And on the Thames River, you've got the Parliament building, which houses 650 members of Parliament. And if you ever have seen them on C-SPAN when they're in session, very raucous, very wild, debating, if you will. And, of course, Big Ben right there. Behind it sits the Westminster Abbey, where the most recent royal wedding took place between Will and Kate. There's the Parliament building on the Thames River, and there's the Westminster Abbey. And it's also where the kings have been coronated for the past 900 years. All right. So things you might want to do on your leisure time. You might want to take a cruise on the Thames River or jump on the Ferris wheel known as the Eye, which rotates about once an hour. So when you get to the top, you get these great panoramic views of the city. You see these iconic old historic buildings intermixed with this new skyline that's being built. This is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. Very futuristic architecture that you're going to see there in London occurring right now. And of course, the railway station, Harry Potter, if you saw any of those movies, a lot of that was filmed right here. Some of the Beatles, their movies were also filmed at this train station. And this is where we're going to board the Eurostar for our 2.25-hour journey underneath the English Channel, coming up on the French countryside on our way to Paris. Excuse me, you have full reign in the car. And there's a food car and a bar car, and it's just great to intermix and talk with some of the other people while you're on board the train as well. And then on to Paris. Paris did not just happen as a city. It wasn't a, kind of evolve on its own. It was actually by design, and our Washington, D.C. was modeled after Paris. So you'll learn about that. We'll do a panoramic tour, which includes the Arc de Triomphe, which, in your leisure time, you might want to go back under the rotary that goes around it, and then you can climb the steps up to the top and get these great panoramic views of the city from up there. And it's also a little mini museum up there as well. So you got great views. This is the Champs-Élysées, which is the Grand Avenue that's filled with all the boutique shops. And it lines up with the Louvre, the great former palace, which is now a museum, and also with Place de la Concorde, which is almost like another little rotary, but it's where you had the tank duels occurred during World War I, and it's also where a lot of the beheadings occurred during the French Revolution. So that's all up and down this Champs-Élysées Avenue here. One of the iconic sites is the Eiffel Tower. You get to see that. And of course, the Seine River is the famous river that cuts through the center of Paris. Those two little towers in the back, you'll notice, have the Notre Dame Cathedral, which they're renovating after the Great Fire a while ago. All right, so we do offer the option to the Louvre Museum, and we strongly encourage you to pre-register with us for this so that we've got that all set up for you. And of course, the most famous piece of art there is the Mona Lisa. And there are about 650,000 pieces of art, sculptures, and antiquities, all in this former palace that's now one of the most famous museums. And the other option we offer is going up to the Montparnasse Tower, which is that modern building. It's 57 stories to the top, and it gives you this great panoramic view of the city. And we follow it up with a dinner down in this cavernous style dinner, music and food and the drinks included and the regional beers and wines, and it's just a fun evening with great culinary experience, as well as taking you up to this tower with a great panoramic view of the city. Then we're going to be on the TGV train heading on a southeast direction towards Switzerland, traveling at about 186 miles an hour on this maglev train, which means magnetic levitation, and arriving into the Swiss mountains to the city of Lucerne. And this is the famous Chapel Bridge that was once on fire in the late 80s, early 90s, and they've done a great job in renovating it. And you see these homes and these buildings that have been here for centuries, and they've just really done a great job at retaining the architecture. And Andermatt is where you're going to be staying for one night. It's a quaint little village surrounded by the Swiss Alps. And the cows are everywhere. They have the big bells. And you see these people living up in these remote sides of the mountains. Makes you wonder how they, go down to the stores in the winter when the snow is probably higher than their house. And then we're going to cross over into the Italian Alps, getting into northern Italy and what's known as the Lake District. And this is where you have this series of lakes surrounded by the Italian Alps. And that's what has drawn so many celebrities and government leaders from all over the world to have second homes in this region. And then from there on to Venice. We're going to stay in Mestre, which is just outside of Venice proper, and then take you on a little boat up through the Murano glass factory, where you'll learn how they blow and create this artistic glass that's known so well in this area. Get you down to St. Mark's Square and visit the St. Mark's Cathedral. And then from Venice, we're going to proceed on down to Florence. Now, whenever you see the Santa Maria del Fiore, this cathedral, that's the icon that tells you you are now in Florence, surrounded by the low-lying hills. You can take 100 on your free time, go back in here, take 163 steps spiraling up to the top to give you these great panoramic views of the city. Plus, it's a very interesting walk up. It's a narrow stairway. Other people will be coming down. You might be, rubbing bellies to get by each other. And if you look into little peep holes, almost like you would on a ship, you can see up into the frescoes up on the ceiling. And I will say that some of the most bizarre frescoes you'll ever see, especially when you consider they're on a religious ceiling. You're just going to either have to go to Florence to see what I'm referring to, or look it up in a book. Here we go. And you'll notice the bridge over here. That's one of the last remaining of the iconic medieval bridges. Most of the others were destroyed during the World Wars. And this one is the Ponte Vecchio Bridge. And now it's all filled with jewelry stores. Probably millions of dollars of American credit cards have been run through on this bridge, buying the jewelry and such. But that's the famous bridge, the Ponte Vecchio. Now the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore, you'll notice the white marble. Most of the great cathedrals of Europe were cleaned up during the Jubilee or the year 2000. So I think it's a good time in history to go to Europe because they look like they were just brand new. They've done a great job in restoring the initial color to all the marble. We have included for you a visit to the Accademia Gallery, which is a renowned art school, and with a local docent. And of course, it's one of Michelangelo's many statues of David that you'll see here. And in the Tuscany region, they are known for producing the Chianti wines, which is that kind of like a dry, semi-dry red wine. And we're going to take you out to a vineyard in the region. It's one of the oldest wineries in the area. And of course, we'll have some samplings and tastings going on for you. It's one of the areas where our tour managers have a challenge getting everyone back on the bus after this because they just want to keep trying all the wines while they're there. And then the final stay, 2 nights, is in Rome, the Eternal City. And of course, it's famous for the Colosseum. And we'll take you on a panoramic tour of the city. We do offer an optional excursion to the Vatican, which includes the Sistine Chapel, as well as going through the St. Peter's Cathedral. And then we also offer a Rome by night tour, which has dinner with the operatic singers. And then instead of taking you directly back to your hotel, you go to all the monuments when they're lit up at night. So it's a great way to appreciate the nighttime in Rome. So we're going to take you to the Colosseum, but we're going to take you inside the Colosseum on this platform where you will be standing where thousands of animals and thousands of people were slaughtered for the sheer spectacle of the crowd. So this was only as recent as 2,000 years ago. Also one of the first tarp stadiums that protected the patrons from the sun or the rain. And they took the marble off the exterior and put that onto St. Peter's Basilica. We're going to take you inside the Colosseum. And then, as always, we have a nice farewell dinner included for you as well. So you have transportation to and from the airport included for you. It saves you extra parking costs, makes it convenient. Our travel insurance, again, allows you to cancel for any reason. And when you're going outside the country, this is where it really kicks in as an extra benefit, because when we travel outside of the country, our insurance that we have here is not recognized over there. So if you do incur any medical costs, when you get home, you set up the claim through this insurance, and that helps get you reimbursed for any cost you may have had. So the insurance you on the price of the tour if you have to cancel, but it also allows you to protect you if you have any medical costs as well. So that's all wrapped into one. It's just like car insurance or home insurance. We hope we never need it, but the one time you do, you definitely want to make sure you have it. And whenever I'm taking my family on a trip that costs $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, I make sure every one of us have it. And one time, unfortunately, we had to use it as well. We have a loyalty program that if your second trip with us is within 12 months of your previous trip, you receive a $150 loyalty discount. And if it's not until 13 to 24 months, then it's a $100 loyalty discount. And that's nothing that you need to do. When your name is in the system, it'll be recognized, it will populate in, and that discount will be applied to your final invoicing. So it's our way of saying thank you for traveling with us, and please keep us in mind for your next trip. It is out of the country, so you do need a passport for this trip. However, you do not need a visa, okay? And they're now asking that your passports be valid for up to 8 months beyond the date of this trip, okay? So how do you sign up? I'll make sure that Don and Mary have the links to this itinerary for your respective centers. And you'll click on that link and it'll open up, and you'll see on the top left the Sign Up Now button. You'll click on that and it will direct you to a series of windows that you fill out. And we are no longer having forms be filled out. This is to help expedite that process and make it smoother, where historically we had challenges reading handwriting, and if one credit card number might be off or we misspelled a name, then there will be change fees for the airline ticket. Now this will eliminate all of those and just make it a much smoother, efficient, quicker process for everybody. So we'll just be getting familiar with this process with us, and thank you for your patience in getting comfortable with the new process. So the deposit is $500. The insurance is $329, so $829 to save your spot on the tour. And we are holding spots on this tour for both Oxford Parks and Rec and Independence Township up until November 21st of this year. So we still have about 2 months where we're holding space for you. And yet you can sign up now while we still have that space, and yet still change your mind up to November 21st. And get a complete refund of both your insurance and your deposit. In May, the type of weather you can expect would be right around high 60s, low 70s. So it's a very good time to go before it gets really hot over there in the summer months. And you want to have your jackets for the early mornings and the late evenings, but otherwise just about perfect weather. And having a guide there helps make navigating through areas where they maybe not English is not the primary language, but yet they're used to American travelers, and having that guide there can give you some lessons to help navigate through that. You can have fun with that while you're out there as well. And I'd like to open up to any questions Mary or Don may have.
So like on day 3, when you're alongside a local guide to see like the Tower of London, Westminster Abbey, Buckingham Palace, is it just kind of a walking by or a driving by, or do you physically get to go into some of these landmarks and see the inside and tour the inside?
Yeah, let me look on the verbiage on that day for you. That's a good question, Dawn. Day 3. Yes, that is a panoramic tour, so we're not actually going inside those venues, Don.
Okay. All right. And then a lot of these meals that are included, you had mentioned like the type of food. Are they giving you a menu so that you can choose different items, or is it going to be a limited menu? And is it going to be a variety? If it's a limited menu, is it going to be a variety for someone who may not be able to have fish or seafood because of an allergy?
Yes, great question. It'll be a select choice off the menu, and it will be varied. So there will be options like chicken, beef, fish, pasta, or what have you, depending on the country. And sometimes they'll offer those choices a day or two ahead so that they can order, so that our restaurants can be prepared and ready with those choices that people select. So, yeah.
And then do they also offer with these meals usually a gluten-free or a vegan choice also?
Yes, as you can imagine, the amount of travelers we take all over the world, we've got a lot of dietary concerns that we need to meet. So it's good that people put that in the system, but if not, when they arrive, there's a kind of like a questionnaire that the guides will have them fill out regarding the dietary needs. So it could be low sodium, vegetarian, gluten-free, low sugar, all those different types of things. And we can accommodate folks no matter where we go in the world. Yep.
I really think this is a great, especially for first timers. I've not been to Europe, but if I were to go, this is a trip I would take because it does touch on 4 countries all at once. You get a taste of everything. So I think it's a real good trip.
Thank you, Mary.
Yes, I would agree.
It's got some of the iconic ones that people, hear about and have always wanted to do, and it's like you said, a good one to start with.
Yes, I am. Yes.
And then just to make sure that I understand, let's say I decide that I want the elite fare. That cost for the elite fare is in addition to the double, single, or triple occupancy rates, correct?
Exactly, Don.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And the currency over there on these countries, you're going to have a couple different ones. You're going to have the English pound in England, okay? When you get to France, it's going to be the euro. Switzerland has their own Swiss franc, and then Italy back on the euro again. So using Visa or MasterCard is most widely accepted. In each country, you might want to get a little bit of their currency when you get there. But using a credit card is usually a difference along the entire way. So you have a little bit of cash. Don't have to have a lot of cash with you, I think.
Right. When a credit card is used over there, so do they automatically transfer to the euro when you use a credit card or a pound? Yep. Okay. Yep. That's what was my understanding too. I just wanted to make sure that I was clear on that.
Yep. And Visa and MasterCard are the ones most widely accepted.
A question I get sometimes too is tipping when I do tell my travelers to take cash for maybe lunches or meals that sometimes may not be small meals that may not come with the trip. Tipping. They ask me, should they tip in American or should they tip in the currency there?
Yeah, usually they prefer the currency there. However, your tour manager is usually a local tour manager, so they're probably going to, want the euro over there, and that'll be good with them. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a question that I get when they're kind of deciding how much cash to take or how much, currency to actually get before they go. So
yeah, I always take an envelope for the tour manager, one for the bus driver, and then if there's any local guides, one for them. And that way I've got it set aside ahead of time, and I'm not scrambling around at the end of the tour looking for a bank to get cash.
Oh, okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, so then tips is not included in the rate that we're paying. So we should plan to have extra funds with us to tip a driver or our tour guide.
Exactly.
Okay.
The bellmen that take your suitcases up and back from your room, they're included, but not for your tour manager or the bus drivers.
They are included for the included meals. Tips are included, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
I am too, and if it's okay with you guys, if you want, when you're ready to stop the recording, though, please do so. But if we could just stay on then to chit chat for a few minutes.
Right, I do. Yeah.